Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Six-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Brandon Marshall brings his fellow NFL alumni to City Winery in Washington, D.C. on Thursday night for his I Am Athlete tour. I asked Marshall about the hot topics they'll tackle during the show, including the best players he played with and against during his career. Hey, Brandon Marshall. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on WTOP.
What's up? What up? What up? Thanks for having me.
We're talking to the NFL great Brandon Marshall because you're bringing a cool tour to City Winery in DC on Thursday, October 6th. It's called I Am Athlete, and I know it's going to be you and a couple other former players. So who else is going to be on stage with you?
So, yeah, our crew on I Am Athlete, you got Shady McCoy, you got myself, you got Pac-Man Jones, you got Omar Kelly. We'll have on stage, DJ Clue will have a special live performance, surprise performance by an artist. Kuz. So Kuz is coming out. Love his fashion, love his game. So it's gonna be dope to have him out from the Wizards. We'll have in the audience some of our commanders players. We'll have some of our Wizards players. It's going to be pretty dope. And this conversation is going to be cool.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it's a big lineup. Now, you saying the conversation is going to be dope. So what are we going to be talking about? Like what all topics do you get into in the stage show?
All hot topics. First live show was pretty cool. I was scared shitless, never did this before. And I have to say it was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had, just to interact with our audience. We have a huge following in DC. People have been rocking with us since day one. And, it was cool just to be able to connect with them. If I'm being honest, whatever is happening in the world of sports and culture we're talking about, but the thing that brings this show to life from a live experience standpoint is the fan engagement. So we have two mics set up on the side of our stage, and our audience, they come up and they just ask us questions. And that's when the show gets really juicy. They ask about all the messy stuff from the past. They ask us about, whether it's Lamar Jackson's, or even they may ask us about Daniel Snyder's and our thoughts on, the owner of the Commanders. Like, it's a pretty cool experience.
Way to localize it for both our Baltimore and DC listeners right there. You're a pro. You gave me two local sound bites. I love it. But the website was also saying it could be anything from sports to fashion to mental health. It sounds like it runs the gamut. Like, what is that? Was that the idea to kind of show a different side to athletes, to go deep into what makes you guys tick?
Well, that's what our show is. It's been that way from day one. 70% of what we talk about is culture. It's about, and it's about life. We talk about mental health. We've had Deion Sanders on our show talking about his lowest moment when he tried to take his life. Des Bryant crying on our show. Darrelle Reeves is talking about, PTSD. Like, we go deep on our show. We also talk about finance. We talk about our relationships. We talk about sex. 30% of the time we're talking about sports. Who's the GOAT in this? Who's the GOAT in that? And it also can go in so many different directions. When I sit down, we're like, we're going to hit these 3-4 topics. And then it goes any and everywhere. And then now you're adding a live component to it where our audience stands up and they're like, well, this is my opinion. Here's my thought. And they join the conversation. It just becomes extremely dynamic. Like I said, the first one was in New York and I was scared shitless, didn't know what to expect. It was a packed house and everybody had a great time. And so I'm really excited about DC because if I'm being honest, I think our following in DC and Baltimore is bigger than it is in New York.
Oh, definitely. Well, it sounds like you cover a range of stuff. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to remind our listeners a little bit more about you and your trajectory. So I know you were born in Pittsburgh in 84, but then you moved to Florida, for high school and all that. But so did that mean you grew up, were you a Steelers fan growing up, or did you take on the Florida teams when you moved?
Nah, black and yellow, baby. Pittsburgh.
So yeah, you would have. Well, I was born in '84 too, so you're about my age. So you would have missed the the '70s golden age, but you were there probably, I guess, for what, like Greg Lloyd, Kevin Green, all those guys.
100%.
That's so. Who's your favorite Steeler of all time then?
Oh, it's not just one. I think all of them. I love the wide receivers. Hines Ward, I would have to say, was my number one. grew up in that era, and the way he approached the game and how he played. Um, you know, fan of all of them, to be honest. Palomalu, great. But should I go back to the Brister days and, all of the legends.
Oh yeah, definitely. See, these are the kind of top questions people are gonna randomly throw out at you at I Am Athlete. So this is like a sneak preview of some of the stuff you might be able to ask. The Brandon.
No, I don't know if anybody's going to ask you about the 80s and 90s Steelers.
That's just me.
History buff. Yeah, that's just you.
Hell yeah, man. I love it. Awesome. Well, you went to, UCF, right? Like what, 1,600 yards receiving, something crazy over your time there. But then you got picked up, you got drafted by the Broncos from 2006 to 2009. What was it like playing there? That was with under Shanahan, right? Well, we had him in DC in the RG3 days, but what was it like playing under Mike Shanahan?
How did Coach Shanahan do with the were you guys happy?
At first we were. Mike and Kyle designed that whole, the triple option sort of stuff, and Griffin and Alfred Morris, and no one knew what to do with it. They dominated the league, but we all saw what happened. RG3 blew out his ACL, and the rest, it was downhill after that. I don't think coach and quarterback never really trusted each other. What was your take on that from the outside?
Man, I thought that Coach Shanahan, like you said, I had him. He's tough, but he's also a player's coach. Like if you come in and you just handle your business, it's the perfect coach to play for, but he is tough. He was tough on me. And if you come in with a little bit of immaturity, it could be a long road for you. And I think that, RG3 came in and he was a superstar. He did a phenomenal job, but I think there was some immaturity there. So you take a guy that just get in NFL and he's trying to get his bearings under him and trying to figure things out, and you got Coach Shanahan, who's one of the biggest alphas in the world. You put them two together, there's going to be some problems.
Oh yeah. See, that's why I love talking to you, man. You can pretty much talk about everything. But while you were in Denver, didn't you set a record for most receptions in a game? Was it 21?
Yeah, man, that was legendary. Playing in Indy, went out there, man. I didn't even know how many catches I had. I was so in the zone. I just lost myself. It's like a deep meditative state. And I look up and I had a teammate staring at me on the bench. It was Kenny McKinley, rest in peace. So Kenny, he's staring at me and I'm like, what are you staring at, brother? What's wrong? He was like, bro, you don't know? I said, no, I don't know. What are you talking about? Said, you got 18 catches. I said, what? I said, why you ain't already tell me that? Right? And then I popped my head up and I was like, all right, what's the record? And he said it was 20. And I was like, all right, let me go get that.
Nice. Who did you break? Who had 20? Was it T.O.?
T.O. had the record.
Well, now you do. Awesome. And then I know after that, was the Dolphins for 2 years, the Bears for a few years, with Jay Cutler, and then they get the New York Jets for 2, and then the Giants with Eli, Seattle, even with Russell Wilson. Who would you say throughout all those years? Who's the one quarterback that you enjoyed tossing the rock the most?
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
In the Jets.
GOAT.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, legend, bro. Love playing with Fitzy, just a special guy, bro. That's the type of guy you want to follow. He meets people where they're at, he's relatable. And man, he's just a great guy. And he works his ass off and he puts everybody in position.
Well, you know what? We here in Washington we were excited to see what he could do last year. And then a quarter or two into the game, he got hurt that very first game. So we never got the Washington era of Ryan Fitzpatrick, but it sounds like you got some good memories with him, man.
Magic.
We never got to see magic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's tough.
Well, you know what? Well, I asked you who was the best quarterback you played with, but who was the best D-back that you ever faced?
Oh, for sure. It was, Al Harris was tough. Charles Woodson was tough. Even Quentin Jammer, when I first got in the league, was tough. But my number one challenge was Darrelle Revis. And I think he was a challenge for all elite wide receivers back then. There was just this 3-year, 4-year span where he just locked everything down.
Oh yeah. Well, except for you, of course. No one could lock you down. What you know what, man? What I loved about you too was it wasn't, people talk about the hands and speed and stuff when they come to receivers, but you were a awesome yak guy. Like it was yards after catch. Did you take pride in that? That okay, even if I catch it, I'm gonna at least rip off another however many yards.
Yeah, I was more of a shifty guy, and I think that's what separated me during that time, and also surprised some of the defensive backs and defensive coordinators when I first got in the league. Like I ran the ball, or once I caught the ball, I ran like I was a running back. Because I grew up running back, and that was the thing that excited me the most about football was being able to catch the ball, make guys miss, and get extra yards. And I prided myself on that. And I had a few years where it was pretty legendary.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join us and even answering some of those quote GOAT questions that you'll be talking about in the show. I got one more of your era, modern times. Who was the best wide receiver that wasn't named Brandon Marshall that was maybe one of your peers? Who did you admire?
Oh man, there were so many legends during my time. There was the childish Terrell Owens. Oh my goodness, this dude. Like I'm beefing with him right now, but T.O., I still got to respect this game. Like Steve Smith was awesome, Larry Fitzgerald, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison. I'm missing some too. You had Calvin Johnson that came along. Man, like bro, I'm missing so many. Like that was the era. Chad Ochocinco, Randy Moss. Did I say Randy?
I mean, yeah, that is a deep bench of receivers right there. That's a golden age, if you ask me. Well, wait, who's your all timer then? Who is the? I mean, everyone says Jerry Rice. Is that the pick, or who is your GOAT?
My GOAT at the wide receiver position. The easy answer is Jerry Rice. Ask me that question at the live show, okay? Because I'm gonna rethink that. Like, played 19 years, and he was legendary. He's awesome, but I wanna peel back some layers. So right now I'm gonna go with Jerry Rice. Easy answer. But could it be Randy Moss? Could T.O. have a shot there? Or could it be even someone else?
Could it be Brandon Marshall?
Nah.
Well, you were as good as anyone, in your heyday, man, for sure. So everyone check out I Am Athlete at City Winery in DC on Thursday, October 6th. And I guess can we also see you're still co-hosting Inside the NFL on Showtime too, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, come see him in person at City Winery, and then check out the Inside the NFL. Every time there's a game going on this fall. Hey, thanks so much, Brandon Marshall. This was fun.
Appreciate you, champ. See you.
Thanks so much for listening to Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Our theme music is Scott Buckley's Clarion. Remember to give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.